Hi everybody, sanibonani. Welcome to my channel. Igama lami nguNtando Mdletshe on this channel siyafunda incwadi ebhalwe ngolimi lwethu lwesiZulu bese siza la sokhuluma ngazo le ndaba esifundile senzela laba phela abangenaso isikhathi sokufunda incwadi nalabo abanqenayo nje ukufunda. Siyaphinda futhi sibuka ama reality shows ethu ala eMzansi bese siza la sokhuluma ngawo lama shows, senze ama reviews or ama recaps bese siyaphinda futhi sikhuluma nga any other issues avukayo mangabe lama shows sesiwabukile ku TV. Uma ngabe oqala ujoina namhlanje and you happen to really like our content, do not forget to press the subscribe button kanye ne notification bell ukuze phela uthole umyalezo uma ngabe umsebenzi omusha sesiwufakele. Kanjalo if you want to be a member, there is a join button la ngezansi. There is also a thanks button if you do want to thank the channel ngemali. So today guys, I'm going to do a little bit of like something different a little bit, and we're going to dive in with story siga Somizi, and I'm gonna give you a background a little bit as to what made me want to do this particular video. So welcome everybody. The thing about celebrities, you guys, is that we usually just fall in love with them because of their personalities and a lot of the times because of their work, but it doesn't always mean that they always do the right thing. You know, had they not been celebrities, bebezoba abantu abanjani, you know. And also the celebrity status sometimes is abantu can make us treat a person differently even when we find out to go to they have done certain things, you know, or they have been accused of doing certain things. Of course, like after Somizi and Mohale's marriage, and it was and then it was over, they're going through a divorce now. There were things that came out when it came to their relationship, and for some of us it was hard to believe some of the things that Mohale was claiming that they happened in their relationship, because we don't know, guys. We do not know. But honestly guys, after that interview that Mohale did, it was hard for me to not believe Mohale when it came to the domestic violence claims. And I was thinking also how sad it would be that that really happened, and a lot of the people do not believe him it happened. And then recently, was it a day or two ago, it came out to Utami, who used to be friends with Somizi, whom Mohale does say in that interview that he knew about the abuse between him and Somizi, that he came out and confirmed to guys. He didn't mean to confirm it publicly because it is an audio where it's a conversation between him and a friend talking about Somizi, basically just gossiping as friends. You know, when you're a group of friends, sometimes you gossip about this one and then you gossip that. It was that kind of a situation. But in the audio or on the audio, is perfect. He is confirming that yes, Somizi did hit Mohale, or yes, Somizi was abusive to Mohale. And it made me feel like, I wonder how many other things that we think Somizi is innocent kuzo, that he might not be, you know, that he might not be. And because of his status, it's hard for us, because I'm one of those people that love him. I was one of those people that was very sad when he was kicked off Idols, because I was like, what is gonna be Idols without Somizi? Because he did bring that fun personality to the show. So I was one of the people that was like, I don't think that the show is gonna work without him. But now I'm starting to think that how sad would it be for us to be so supportive of him, and we love him as much as we do, and some of the things that he's been accused of, he really is guilty of them. How sad would that be for the people that have come out to accuse him of those things? And it really just has been bothering me, guys, that I decided to just go back a little bit, because one of the things that have always bothered me was that case that once existed, Somizi, that he was once convicted of. So I know some of you guys in my viewer family are young. Maybe you were too young at that time to even pay attention. I was young myself, but I remember that. I remember that case, you guys, and I remember that it just seemed like somebody that was trying to get imali out of Somizi, because that's how the story was told from Somizi's side. But I just thought I just had to go back, you guys, and read some articles that were written at the time to remind myself really of what happened, because I thought, how sad would it be if this guy, who was really just a young man at the time, really what he said happened the way that it did, and a lot of people didn't believe him. But we're gonna go through this article, you guys, so just bear with me. We're gonna go through this article and a couple of other articles that came after that, and there's also an audio. It's either I put it somewhere in the middle of this video or at the end, where Somizi, after the situation had passed, he was doing an interview on how he explained what happened with that situation, because at the end of the day, as a viewer, you have to decide who you believe really. And this is something that has passed as well. It's not something that is currently happening. So then we're going to read this article first and then just find out what happened. This I'm gonna do mostly because those viewers who are not aware that Somizi was once accused and even convicted of this act, they can be aware, they can know what's happening with that story before we move forward. Anyway, this was written in Sowetan Live in 2008 in May 6th, and the title of the article says, Somizi tells court of 10,000 rand sex offer. Okay, let's read what happened. It says, the man accusing flamboyant choreographer Somizi Mhlongo of indecently assaulting him offered to have sex with him for free. Mhlongo, 34, told court that the complainant Celani Njapa offered to have sex with him in exchange for 10,000 rand. He thought I was going to persuade him. He thought I was going to persuade him to drop the charges and give him the money, Mhlongo said. I think he also feels offended that I turned him down and didn't want to have sex with him. Mhlongo told the court that Njapa had approached him when they first met under the wrong impression that homosexuals are promiscuous. As a result, he thought Mhlongo would want to sleep with him. Okay, and Mhlongo is alleged to have indecently assaulted Njapa in the early hours of November 25 last year in his house in Lonhill. And remember, you guys, in that audio me talking to a friend, they do mention about the house in Lonhill that Somizi was staying in, that another boyfriend had left him in, that didn't really belong to Somizi, but people thought that it belonged to Somizi or something like that. The assault apparently happened after Mhlongo gave the complainant a lift. They drove to Mhlongo's house when the alleged assault took place. After Mhlongo offered Njapa a drink, he went to his bedroom to change. On returning to the sitting room, this is what Somizi said, he found Njapa watching a pornographic DVD. He was watching porn, playing with himself in the couch. Mhlongo said, I told him he was dating my couch. That was when the complainant allegedly offered to have in exchange for money. Mhlongo said he at no point touched Njapa because he is not his type. So Mhlongo is saying that Njapa was not his type. Njapa testified that Mhlongo unzipped his pant and touched his private parts. Okay, some words, guys, I cannot say. During cross-examination, Njapa often looked down in shame, and the magistrate had to repeatedly instruct him to raise his voice. Mhlongo's lawyer, Niko Kupane, argued that there were There were inconsistencies in Japa's evidence. The complainant said the reason he jumped into the client's car was to get his autograph and contact number so that the client could help him with dancing auditions, Kupane said. But when he realized he hadn't mentioned this in his statement, he accused the police of negligence. He also testified that the alleged assault took 10 minutes but didn't mention the critical facts in his initial statement and blamed the police for omitting it. Prosecutor Teresa Dikemba argued that Mhlongo misused his celebrity status to indecently assault Njapa, who is a fan of his. Okay, the magistrate Mumbokazi Twele postponed the case to the 23rd of May. So there was an article that was written at the time. I remember a story a little bit, guys. It was a story of Somizi was driving around, gave this kid a lift, and then when they went to his house, and then something indecent had happened, and only the two of them had known what had happened. So Somizi is telling a story of how this young man was the one that was trying to offer him intimacy in exchange for money. When Somizi refused, then he went and called the police. But Njapa was telling a different story. He was given a lift, and because he is a fan of Somizi and he really wanted to get his contact number because he was interested in dancing, he got into the car. But instead of Somizi driving him home because he was supposed to give him a lift, he drives to his house, and then he says that's when he assaulted him. So now, you guys, here's the thing though, guys. For me in this story, what's scaring me is me imagining somebody driving, like a grown man driving around and just giving random young men lifts, you know, just giving random young men lifts, and then this young man gets in your car. Instead of driving them home, you drive to your home with him, and then he ends up not even getting home at all. You know, doesn't that sound like a pedophile a little bit? If that's really what happened, you know, we don't know what happened once they got to the house, because he's telling one story and he's telling one story. But doesn't that sound weird that he just picked up a random guy? Because this boy apparently was coming from work. He worked at the restaurant. He was coming from work. He's being picked up by this person who has this celebrity status. He likes him. He's a fan. Then they go to his house, and then because something inappropriate happened in that house, whether it was initiated by the guy or something, but something happened there. They won't agree on what happened because everybody is trying to give their side of the story. But I'm still thinking, how sad would it be if really the story happened the way that Njapa said that it happened, and it still wasn't really believed by the public, because the court believed him. There was enough evidence that the magistrate actually convicted Somizi on this case. But let's read so that you can find out what happened after what the judge decided at the time on this case, you guys. This is also written by Sowetan. I guess Sowetan was just following the story at the time, and this is when Somizi turns reticent as he is found guilty. This was written on the 26th of May 2018. So they're saying this is after he was found guilty. Flamboyant musician and choreographer Somizi Mhlongo will appeal against his conviction and sentence on Friday for indecent assault. So he had a plan, because he had already been found guilty, and he had plans to appeal the case. Mhlongo, he was 34 at the time. Mhlongo pictured, there's a picture of him here, with bravado throughout the trial, even wearing gear with the effing criminal logo, because he was not during the trial, he was not somebody that He didn't humble himself, let me say that. He didn't humble himself, you know. So yeah, so that's what he did. And he was, however, unusually not forthcoming yesterday. So things had changed because now he had been found guilty. He hung up on the reporter. The Randburg Magistrate Court found Mhlongo guilty of indecent assault. He was sentenced to 4 months imprisonment or 6,000 rands fine. Guys, South Africa, like 4 months, 4 months jail time, and then 6,000. I mean, what is it, 6,000? Because at that time, Somizi was already a celebrity, you know. He was making more than 6,000, I'm sure, you know. So I'm sure that didn't really put a dent in his pocket at the time, but yeah, at least he was found guilty. If this really happened, I am so happy that this young boy took a step, like was brave enough to go to the police with this story. And then half of the sentence was suspended for 3 years. He was suspended for 3 years. So he was like a convicted felon for like 3 years, you know. And he's still convicted because he was convicted. What do you say? Marcel Pelili Ilokuzan Iskwebo. Okay. Mhlongo looked on in disbelief as the magistrate Hambokazi Twele passed the sentence. I'm sure he didn't think that they were going to find him guilty. You know, here you are, a celebrity against the somebody that nobody knows, that people don't really believe. Did he think he was going to be found guilty? So I'm not surprised that he was surprised. The court found that he had fondled, I might have to blank some words here, Ninjapa's private parts in his Lone Hill home after offering him a lift on Rivonia Road last November. Njapa, 28, of Diepsloot, was returning from work at a restaurant in Rivonia in the early hours of the morning. So the boy was just returning. What is he doing? So what was he doing driving around in the early hours? It really just sounds like, you know, signs of being a pedophile. Like, what are you doing early hours of the morning driving around? I'm not saying that he is, guys, but isn't that what they do, trying around and see who's vulnerable, who they can take home? You know, that in itself for me worries me about this story. If Mhlongo lived 5 minutes from the main road, why did he not drop Njapa off and go home? Exactly. Twele also wanted to know how Njapa could put on a porn movie and operate a DVD, because he said he went to his bedroom with Somizi, and then when he came to the lounge, the guy was already watching an adult movie. How was it? It's the first time in your house, all of a sudden he knows where the adult movies are, the adult DVD is. He has put it on, he's comfortable now, he's watching it, and he's like playing with himself. Like, really, like it was not a believable story, but that's what he says happened. Maybe it wasn't an unbelievable experience, but you know, it's hard to believe. In mitigation of sentence, Mhlongo's lawyer Niko Kupana said he was a first-time offender who made a huge contribution to the society, but we don't want offenders making any kind of contribution. We don't, like, honestly, we don't. And a sex offender should not even be given a break just because they contribute to the society, if what they're going to do is to offend. And then Mhlongo's application for leave to appeal would be heard on Friday. So I guess that was it, you guys. I can't find any of the articles that talk about what happened with the appeal. Did he win the appeal? Did he not win the appeal? But according to this, he was convicted, you guys. I still think that if he did this, the sentence was very, like, you know, like a slap, and it's not even, you know, especially for him. And then, guys, okay, there is an audio that I found, guys, of an interview that he did. I think this was like a couple of years later, and because I think after this case, this is when his life went downhill and he was broke at some point and all of that. When he started picking himself up as well and he was doing well, he started doing interviews, and in one of the interviews he does say this is the thing that really for me was not adding up as well, because now when he's doing the interview, he says he picked up this boy, and I'm gonna put it at the end so that you guys can listen and judge for yourself if it makes any sense. He in the interview, he says he picked up this boy and they seem to like each other, they're flirting or whatever, they go to his house, they have drinks, they kiss a little bit, and then that was it. It didn't go further than that. And then in the morning, the guy came with the police to say that he was assaulted, you know. So the story that he told in the interview is slightly different from what was told in court. So, you know, you'll have to listen to the audio yourself and just judge for yourself what it means, you guys. But okay, that's what happened with that case, you guys. So I think it is important that we think about these things, you guys, because for years we were grooving to R. Kelly's songs, and at some point, like these claims would come and these rumors would come. At some point he was in court because there was a video of him and this child, and he was saying it wasn't a child and it wasn't him or whatever, and then he won the case, and then what. But we're still grooving to even though it was a bit uncomfortable grooving to this music, but we were grooving to this music because we liked him. And then one day it all came out that not only was that child really the child that they were saying that it was, but it was him on that video, but also it wasn't the only child that he had done that to. There were a whole lot of other women. I don't even know as we stand how many women have come out when it came to R. Kelly. And he was one of those people that was loved, and he got away with it because people loved him, and we just couldn't bring ourselves to think that this person that we loved so much, whose music we loved so much, could do what he did, you know. So I think even us as South Africans, we have to be careful that the love that we have for our celebrities do not stop us from critically thinking about these things that they are accused of. We need to look at them and think, we don't want to have another surviving whoever in South Africa. We don't want that. We don't want the surviving R. Kelly, you know. So let's not be surprised when things are coming out, because things have happened in the past. Whether you want to look at it and say at that time I don't think that he was guilty, it's up to you. Honestly, for me, it really just raises my eyebrows. But moving on, you guys, in recent years, Somizi did do an interview with Mark G, and it went, you know, he said something that went over everybody's head. Because why? It's Somizi, we love him, he always says the most craziest things. So even when he goes inappropriate with what he says, it goes over our head sometimes. But some people were paying attention, because there were people that did pay attention when the Njapa case was taking place. So when he said what he said here, then people did pay attention, and they pulled it up at some point when it was time to pull it up, because the internet, honey, you cannot hide from the internet. So Somizi, this is article is written it comes from the publication The South African. So and the title says, I should have pounced on a young vulnerable Mark G. Also Somizi clip sparks uproar. Okay. So it says here, the comments Somizi made about the radio host Mark G in an interview from way back have returned to bite him on the backside this weekend. And it says, Somizi Mhlongo has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons recently because of his marriage. And then, okay, they talk about how he was accused of being abusive towards his spouse. This led to Somizi taking a break from some of his contractual obligations. I think they're talking about the Metro gig, and they're talking about the Idols. But this chat with Mark G has become the real bone of contention. While detailing the toughest time of his life, Mark G admitted into slipping into the depression after he was fired from one of his early presenting jobs. He told his guests that he kept himself occupied by drinking a lot, and we quote, banging a lot of, you know. This is when his famous counterpart decided to dip his toes into some very murky waters. And then it says, and then they basically giving us the conversation between the two of them. Guys, there is a clip, by the way, you can even find it on YouTube, of that conversation, and you can judge for yourself if you feel anything inappropriate was said there. Mike G says, I was depressed and broke, and it was after I was fired. So means, damn, where was I to pound on you? I have always had a crush on you, but you were too young. Number one, how are you an adult having a crush on a child? Because Somizi could be Magji's father, basically. How are you an adult having a crush on a child? And then he says, but where was I to pounce on you? Because I always had a crush on you, but you were too young. Magji said, but I'm only into girls. And then Somizi said, but when you are vulnerable, anything goes. When you are vulnerable, anything goes. I don't know, guys. Judge was, I think it's inappropriate. And even to talk about the fact that you should have done something like that on somebody during the time when they are vulnerable, and talking about having a crush on somebody when they were underage, for me, it's a concern, but we let it slide, you guys. And of course, after that, there was also that came out, that issue when Somizi's gig, he was supposed to do a gig, but he wasn't paid for it, and there was accusations of sexual favors that were not fulfilled, and that's what had caused the conflict as well. But that played out like what, end of last year, basically. And there's still clips on it, and there's still also newspaper articles that were written on it. Okay, so guys, honestly, for me, going back to find this information was more about me just feeling like, are we missing something here as South Africans because we love Somizi so much? And how sad would it be for the people that have been possible victims of this person, if really these things happen and we just didn't believe it? You know, how sad would it be? And how sad would it be maybe later on in our lives for something to come out, and maybe there are other people that this has happened to? Because if this Njapa case happened, how do we know that there isn't other cases that happened that young men didn't feel brave enough to go and report? We don't know, you guys. The information is out there, and it's for you to go and find, and it's for you to make a decision on, you know, what it tells you, you know, moving forward, and whether you feel like this is somebody that we should still continue to support as a celebrity. I mean, it's up to the individuals. But one thing is, the South African justice system looked at that case, and they said that, you know what, you did this and you are guilty, and we are going to punish you, regardless of how much the punishment was insignificant, but he was convicted. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video. Tell me what you think about this whole situation, and you can disagree with me. You guys know that you are allowed to disagree with me in the comment section. And please share the video with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers.
What a pleasure to welcome for the first time on Breakfast on Jacaranda FM, the one and only
Somizi Mhlongo.
How are you doing?
Yo, what's up?
This radio thing is no longer new to you.
No, it's not.
How's that going for you?
These beautiful studios are new to me.
Are they nice?
Yo, they're gorgeous.
Oh, really?
Purple, so gay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Are they better than yours?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yay! We score.
The last time I got to speak to you was on the phone, was after the whole church incident.
Have you gone back to church?
You know, I haven't been to church since that day, and it's not because I'm angry or anything like that. I haven't had the time, but I'm gonna go back to church.
Okay.
And yeah, it still feels uncomfortable though.
I was just about to say, are you nervous about it?
It's uncomfortable. I'm not nervous. It's uncomfortable because, like, the other day, I caught this lady. We're praying. They said heads down, and then something said, open your eyes. I open my eyes. She's taking a selfie.
Oh my God. People have no shame.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Next to me. So the reason why I arrive at, like, when it started is to sit at the back and no one sees me, and I leave before it ends.
But can I just send this out to anyone who goes to church with any celebrity? It's Jesus' moment. It's God's moment. Can you leave other children
Not
alone?
selfie. No,
Don't
hashtag
be
church
stealing
selfie.
selfies.
So yeah.
We're going to start something. Hashtag church selfie. Hashtag pray selfie.
Anyway, so Somsom, let's just get to it. You have released a book. Now, my excitement about interviewing you this morning was that for me, you're one of those people I've always known to be grafting. You were never the guy who's just chasing a spotlight. You were the guy who was about the work. Then suddenly, it's like you hit 40 and things just started happening.
Thank you.
What happened? What was the switch?
Nothing shifted. I mean, I've been in the business since I was 6. And if I did not go through everything that I've been through, I'll be so arrogant and full of myself. I'll think you guys need my oxygen for you to breathe. You need to be ready for it. When you see the money, it must just be okay. It must change your situation, not your personality and your person. When you see everyone worshiping you and loving you, it must change how you love in a better way.
Okay.
Like it
I like
wasn't
that.
just I won lotto, I won idols, I won this and that. I deserve it.
Do you have any regrets that you discuss in the book?
There's an incident when I talk about the sexual assault. That's the day that really changed everything for me.
Okay.
Where I innocently gave somebody a lift, and on the way, and that person is a fan, and they're telling you how much they love you, blah, 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 blah. And then it gets into flirting. From flirting, it gets to you find yourself now drinking whiskey at home.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, something happens, and not even sexually, something, we were flirting and then we kissed.
Okay.
You know? And then you wake up in the morning, there's policemen at your door. And then they're like, we need to take you for sexual harassment, whatever, or sexual assault. Like, how, when, who? And they said so and so, and then like, boom. And then now you have to prove that, first of all, the kissing and everything and the foreplay was consensual. But now somebody wakes up in the morning, maybe feeling guilty or thinking, I'm going to ruin his life.
Or not even remembering whether it happened or not.
You know? So that changed everything for me. But I look back and I'm like, I'm glad it did. It did happen, because then I would be doing it now, giving somebody a lift at my